Hola. As you can see, I'm in a different setting than normal. This is where I spend every day. This is where I do most of my meditation. Just stacking boxes. I don't know, today we're having kind of a slow day. They gave me 3 doors, which, like, for reference, I've done 10 before. And so, 3, we're sleeping. And so, since I have some downtime, I figured I would, I don't know, just talk. I should probably explain the get up. There's nothing really much to explain. The most there is there's yellow glasses, and yellow is the color associated with the chakra that I associate with the term ego. And so as the entire world presents itself to me coded through the lens of yellow glasses, I'm reminded that everything that I see is a projection of myself and my own ego, and the grasping, like, I only see what I choose to see. So just kind of constantly reminding the self that it isn't how it appears to be. But since you know that, I can just take these off. And then whenever I do, I'm like back in God's creation. Like, it's the Pure Land, the Buddha. The colors are so beautiful. I don't know, I kind of want to talk about this specific point in the journey, but it feels kind of wrong. But who cares? I feel, okay, so there's this juxtaposition, which is, I'm memorizing the Sermon on the Mount. And so, in chapter 5, verse 14, I believe, is, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden, nor does anyone light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on the lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. Let your light shine before men in such a way that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven." And then at the end of chapter 5, it says, "Therefore you are to be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect." Chapter 6. "Beware of practicing your righteousness before men to be noticed by them. Otherwise, you have no reward with your Father who is in heaven." And it goes on. And it's that juxtaposition of do good things, but don't do good things to be the one doing good things. You have to do good things for God. And it connects perfectly to me to the Gita, Bhagavad Gita line of, "You have a right to your action, but not to the fruits of your action." And so in that, I'm making a major life decision soon, I guess. Because this weekend is my birthday. I'm turning 20. That's fun. Yeah, that's probably another reason why I should document this exact point in time, because we'll never be here again. And but that's with all points in time. But yeah, so I'm turning 20. I've decided to, I can't be ordained by the Sangha or anything like that, but I've decided to become a monk. And what that means for me is very personal in a way that I can't describe, because, I don't know, my journey is uniquely catered to me. Like, it has to do with shamanism, and it has to do with meditation, it has to do with yoga. Like, those are the 3 paths that I see that resonate the most strongly with me, and I'll, like, cycle through them at different times. But, it's about, because, like, for example, I'm also going to get tattoos. On this hand, I'm going to get the symbol of Om, and on this hand, I'm going to get the cross. And monks don't get tattoos. And somewhere in Leviticus, it says something against tattoos. But I feel called to get tattoos. They mean something to me. In my mind, I'm making myself a bondservant of Christ. I'm branding myself in that way, in such a way that it's beyond any worldly conception, but fingers pointing to the moon that is beyond, and constantly reminding myself, because outside of this lifetime I'm an artist. And so when I'm drawing without my gloves, because I always got my gloves on. But when I'm drawing, I got my gloves, I can randomly look down and be reminded, oh yeah, the Dharma. Oh yeah, I'm an expression of God. I'm His child. I am one with love. Love flows through me. Only if I water the seeds of compassion. Otherwise, I am vulnerable to ignorance. And then I wander in samsara. And then I suffer. And then I make others suffer. And this is a tragedy. And so I must come back to the present moment and realize the wonders of life so that I can get nourished and healed, so that I can nourish and heal those around me. The people I love, the people I'm acquainted with, and my enemies. Love your enemies. And so that is kind of what being a monk means to me. I don't really know how to describe it. Like, if a monk came up to me and was like, "You're not a monk," I would bow down and say, "You're right." And so it's not really that I want to proclaim, I'm doing this, I'm becoming this, I'm making this decision. But I do want it to be acknowledged that I am making this decision because this is what I want my life to be. I care more about God and Jesus than I do about Jacob and his lifetime. And this is nice, this is nice. And so long as I am Jacob, I do have a responsibility to dharmically live out this lifetime. But how I do that, and so for me, the initial stage is going to be a lot of memorization, meditation, and just developing the quality of spaciousness. And so I'm memorizing the Sermon on the Mount. I'm also going to memorize the Invitation to Freedom by Mooji. I'm also memorizing the 14 mindfulness trainings. I want to memorize the Psalms. I've already memorized the Heart Sutra. And I wish to develop on that path. The common preliminary practice in the opening of the not the Grateful Dead, the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And so it's like all of these things, and if you know what I'm referring to, because there's the first level that I always see it in other people, which is that, and it's because it's me, but it's the ego. There's the level of, look what I can do. Look at this, look at this, look at this. And you can either see that as like the DMT entities showing you, look at this, and it's the most beautiful, awe-inspiring, or it could just be this guy who's like showing you all this shit that he's done. You don't really care. You can see that he has the wonder in his eyes, not me. And so I see that in myself, and I wish to be cautious and mindful of not doing that, because it goes back to I wish to do good works to glorify my Father in heaven, not myself. But myself, not myself, not me. And I wish to do the practice so that the practice can have been done. And because when I walk mindfully, I am a bell of mindfulness to those around me. And so that's kind of like what being a monk means to me. And so that's the decision I'm going on. So we've cycled through this thought. Cool. I was saying that I want to avoid just showing people things for the sake of showing people things. And but what I really want to do and what I'm trying to do from the heart is I am a person that doesn't know anything. What do I need to know in order to blah. The Heart Sutra. The Bible. What about the Bible? Exactly. Like, because the Bible is such a raw text. Until this year, I have not had the endurance or like really even the ability at all to get through such a thing and to understand or comprehend it, make connections to... No. And like, I still can't. What I did was I listened to it for 10 hours a day. And then the next day, I listened to it for 10 hours a day. And the next day, I listened to it for 10 hours a day. And so we got through it. Present moment. Wonderful moment. And so I got through it, and I retained what I retained, and it's beautiful. But if I didn't do that, if I am the person before that, what about the Bible am I supposed to read? And obviously there's the stuff that Jesus says, there's the Psalms, there's like Corinthians and Romans and all the letters that Paul wrote. But even like that is kind of advanced knowledge to the state before. And so I wish to serve as what Ram Dass served for me. He was someone who had done the all-night this and that's, the who's its and what's its. He had gone all the way off into LSD, gone all the way off into Maharaji. Then he went into the meditation, and his whole life was a yogic practice of serving others and just being Hanuman and that relationship and all of that. And just watching him and listening to him talk about it over and over again, the Bhagavad Gita, and then throw in some Alan Watts. You got the Tao Te Ching, the I Ching. You got like all of these esoteric Chinese, Asian, Indian, all of that, all of those teachings, the Sufi teachings, the Jewish, Christian, the Muslims, all of these beautiful, beautiful thing. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. Whereas, for me, being a monk, being a shaman, and being a disciple are three that are one and the same. But they're not the same. Just like the Pure Land of the Buddha, Nirvana, and heaven, I would not say are the same. I would say that they're their own distinct flavors. They're their own distinct tones of that which is. Just like I am an expression of myself, and my girlfriend is an expression of herself, and my coworker is an expression of themselves, and all of them relate to me, but they have nothing to do with me. I am myself, they are themselves. My mind is my mind, my body is my body, the world is the world. This is this. It's like a stone. A stone doesn't know it's a stone. It's just a stone. And you look at it and you can say it's a stone. And your friend and someone else, that we can all look and say it's a stone. We can agree that it's a stone. But the stone doesn't know it's a stone. It's not caught in being a stone. It's just here now. And this is the state of being that arises. And so what I want to do is be the person that goes on the journey and then comes back, the Bodhisattva path, I guess, and then comes back to show what I've found and to share and to send someone else. And as they go, and so we do this process a couple times, boom, we have a solid foundation of like 10 people who have all like shared the same experience, the same path, and we're gonna grow it. Cool, I planted that seed. Go to the next one. Okay, meditation. So I'm gonna really meditate. I'm gonna get to the bottom of meditation. I'm gonna try all the different types. Pranayama. That's yoga, I think. But yeah, there's two ways of looking at it, where it's all the same thing. It's all just the journey up the mountain to get to the top of the mountain, to where you can get to that space where you can see it's all the same. It's all one. Here we all are. And here in the now, in the heart cave, in the lotus throne, in the eternal now, the unborn awareness, in all these different ways of expressing it, it's the same thing that we're pointing to. But I would also like to mention that you can point to the moon, you can point to the stars, you can point to the sun, you can point to the clouds, you can point to the sky, you can point to the birds, you can point to a lot of different things. It's not always the moon. And I see the beauty in these distinctions. And I see that not everyone does, and people who do aren't always willing, and people who are willing aren't always as open-minded, and people who are open-minded aren't always as open in the heart. And so I see myself, and obviously I'm one of them too. I've got my own personal biases and my limitations and my karma and my this and that, and so I know that I can't do everything, but I can be doing everything. I can be doing everything is happening. And I am myself eternally. I am the self eternally. I and my Father are one. Because what it all comes down to is I'm a disciple of Christ. And what that means is that God is love. I want to say self-sacrificial love because to me it's the highest form. But I also want to say, I don't want to put that boundary on it and say that, in order for it to be love, it has to be self-sacrificing or something like that. And that, or also, God is space. God is what is the universe, is that which is beyond and within. And all of that is a realm of thought that has nothing to do with the next realm of thought, which is, let's say, shamanism, for example. So you got the Icaros. Actually, that's perfect because you have like Tibetan chanting. Really easy. Gate para sam gate bori swaha gate para sam gate bori swaha. Is completely different than Anyway, one and is completely different from classical music, it's completely different from jazz, it's completely different from techno, it's completely different from dubstep, it's completely different. And so you see, although I'm not a good demonstrator in this exact moment, there are all these beautiful flavors of everything. And I'm still caught in the same thought. That's hilarious. There are all these beautiful flavors of everything and ways to explore that which is. And so what I want to do is do that. And all the while understand that Jacob is doing it and I am eternally the self. And I have nothing to do with anything. Because I am nothing. God alone is. And all of this is the play of Leela, is all the dance of Leela, play of whatever. Dance of Shiva, play of Leela. It's all the mind. It's all what is. And that is such a profound level of realization that and at the same time, none of it matters. And that's the important thing to realize, which is that sorry, I had to go do my job. But basically, to sum up everything I think I've said thus far is I'm about to turn 20, and as I do so, I intend on becoming a monk, but not by the definition standards set by the Buddhist community that already exists, but by following my own heart, because the reality of the situation is, all I really am is a person that woke up in this body, and in this lifetime it is very clear that I'm a Christian, I'm a disciple of Christ. And in that, I see this love and acceptance of absolutely everything. And it's beautiful. And I saw it most when I was like 16, 17. And because that's the side that I needed to see, because that's like, it was the most attractive. That's the one that would pull me in. But it's like, I saw God and Jesus as a partier. Like, not someone that's like, hi, holy, oh. Like, yes, that too. But they could get down, they could have fun, they could play, they could joke, and it's fun, it's loving, it's kind, it's sweet, it's amazing, it's perfect, and so because of that, I discovered shamanism. And with that, I started exploring psychopharmaceuticals and listening to a lot of Terence McKenna. And that led me to Ram Dass and Alan Watts, and that led me to Mooji and Thich Nhat Hanh. And so from there, this spiritual path, what I can call it, just evolved on its own. It's just been unfolding. Om Mani Padme Hum. The universe is beautifully unfolding from within my very own heart. That's exactly what it's been like. And even when it stops, it's still that happening. Even when it doesn't feel spiritual, it doesn't feel good, or it doesn't feel this or that, and I've even learned to be able to see that suffering as karma burning itself off, and me being able to transform it, and just the simple teaching of no mud, no lotus, no suffering, no. But yeah, and so in that, where has it taken me? Well, it's taken me to want to fully give my life to Christ, because I was baptized a while ago, okay? And so, and then it gets too much into my own story for me to explain right now, but, and specifically my own story from like a couple of years ago, which I don't remember shit of, so, but like basically I got baptized, and that was my decision to make a commitment to Christ. But then I got a girlfriend and friends, and like I went on that path, and that was the shamanic journey time, and that was needed, and it was necessary for the time, but it completely took me away, because I thought it was in service of the original goal, and ultimately it is, so that's why I'm here now. But I noticed that I was starting to veer off the path and chase desires and like fulfillment rather than service, and so then that came and bit me in the ass, and I was back on the path, and then I was off the path, and then I was back on the path, and I was off the path, and here we are. And so, so it's all coming into this where, okay, I want to give my life to Christ, but how? Okay, I want to serve the homeless. Okay, I want to donate to charity. I want to do this, I want to do that. But in that, there's this Ram Dass quote that pops in my mind, which is, if you're giving water, like something as simple as you're giving someone water, what is really happening, that's just a scenario. That's just like the cover-up, basically. That's what is happening and why it's happening from a logistical standpoint. But the quality of your giving, who you think you are, what you think the water is, where is God in this situation, all of these different, it all affects the transmission. And one of the goals is to be in Zen, is to be so fully in the moment that you are that which you see everything coming and going, and you are so empty that everything is happening within you, and you are that space. And so in that, as each one approaches me, approaching it with loving kindness, compassion, and becoming a space for it to do what it needs to do in such a way that we can both be liberated in that moment. And so, how am I going to do that? How am I going to serve the homeless? How am I going to go around my community? How am I going to do that and have that quality? Well, I need to practice meditation. And so, and that leads directly into Thich Nhat Hanh, but it's also seeing, because the reason I say all these names and all these like things is because if you know what I'm speaking, then you know what I'm speaking. Like if you've listened to Mooji, you know about the invitation, you know about the pointing to you are that which is, and so that means something. And there's no real language for it except for like you could probably find some awesome words in Sanskrit that describe it perfectly. Checking on my lights, but you could probably find something to describe it, but I don't have that. And so I have to create my own, and I can only use my direct experience. And so I talk about, like, there's a distinction between Ram Dass, Thich Nhat Hanh, and Mooji. They are, and then also, like, Mooji for me leads extremely well into the Tao, but it could just as easily go into the direction of the Guru and Ramana Maharshi. And so there's all these different aspects which I wish to explore, and this is where I kept on getting caught, so I'm going to try to circle around this. But, so where am I now? What is this moment? It is me trying to lose myself in the practice such that there is no more trying, and there is only that which is, that flows forth, that no longer Christ who lives, no longer I who live, but Christ who lives within me. How am I supposed to do that? The practice. The practice. The practice. Come back to the present moment. And that is a form. All methods are traps. Understanding that meditation isn't going to get me there. And that's where Mooji, that's where it's important, the teachings of Mooji, to see that it's also Thich Nhat Hanh. This body is not me. I am not caught in this body. I am life without boundary. I have never been born, and I will never die. And that is a statement of that which is. It's one of the inquiry questions. Says, can it be, like, has it ever been born? Will it ever die? No. No. The Tao is eternal. Why is it eternal? Because it was never born, thus it will never die. And all of these, and you see what I'm talking about. Like, all three of these sources point to the same thing. And it's no coming, no going. And it's the teaching of interbeing. And it's all of this. But that is something which is like the moon, which is not the stars, which is the yogic practices and the Kundalini energy, and which is not Tai Chi, which is not Kung Fu, which is not just martial arts in general and that whole practice, which is not meditation, which is not, and then all the different types of meditation. You get all these different effects from them, and everything is different, but it's all the same. And it's that, and being able to practice until I've merged myself so completely with that which is, that I can just be an expression of that. I see no other purpose in life. And I see in doing that, not pushing away life and living out this karmic package, living out exactly what I'm supposed to go through, and not endlessly chasing my ideas of fame, wealth, and happiness, of like everyone, that I can be the savior of the world, I can be the next Jesus. Woo! Like, we can go crazy with that thought, but we'll go crazy with that thought. And so it's important to me, mindful, that all I am is Jacob. I am not that. And I can't expect myself to be that. But in that, taking the Bodhisattva vow, which is that that although numerous beings, although sentient beings are innumerous, I vow to save them all. And there's like several lines, but it all comes down to that, basically, to my understanding, current understanding, which is that's another thing I need to take. That's a vow that I need to take. But yeah. Seeing that meditation is a form of awareness. And that it's not about meditation, it's about awareness. And it's not about awareness, it's about the perception of wow. That which is emptier than zero and vaster than infinity is alone. Nothing. No thing. Non-existent. Eternal. Timeless. I like non-existent and things like that, a negative positive, because it's really left to the mind's interpretation, but I've been able to hear it in such a way that it's a positive statement about a negative phenomenon. So it's a non-being. It is being in a non-way, in such a way that it doesn't exist, but it's there. But it's here, but it's not there. You can't find it. If you look for it, there's nothing to see. If you listen to it, there's nothing to hear. And so, and I find it important that this is done, not by me, but by someone. And I see no one else. And even if there is someone else, then the more the merrier. It's because I see creating a global harmony, a universal harmony, a global community of love and compassion and understanding. What could be more important, especially when the monkeys have nuclear bombs? Nothing is more important than ending world hunger, than stopping pollution, than doing everything we can to end global warming and turn back its effects, and really realizing how much we've screwed ourselves. And in that, not getting so caught in, I'm gonna die, and then with that, the teaching of no coming, no going, and helping to realize that I am eternally the self, and that I was never born and I will never die. And so what happens in this universe doesn't matter, so I don't need to be attached to, I need to save it, I need to stop this from happening. But at the same time, I need to understand that to the extent that I contribute to the problem, it is my responsibility to undo my own action and to stop contributing and to help everyone I can realize our own ignorance so that we can move towards the light of mindfulness and transcend our current level of consciousness and become a global community of peace. Because why don't we have that? Is it because we don't have the resources? No. It's because we don't have the willingness. And if no one else is willing, then I'll be willing. And if someone else is willing, then awesome, I'll be willing. And if you want to join me, please do. If you don't, awesome. And I will serve you. And also, I'm an artist, and that's the beautiful thing. That's the connecting point between Jesus and the shamanic path, which is that I'm an artist, and I am interested in exploring consciousness and understanding what are the true limitations, not the limitations that we put on ourselves. If I go as far as I possibly can, how far can I go, and what stops me, and why? And can anything go beyond that? And becoming more and more complex and interesting, and adding more details, and doing this and that, and then building worlds, and then creating universes and patterns and games and all this stuff. And we could focus on that, on the pursuit of creativity, rather than the male dominance hierarchy that we've been focusing on for so long. I want power, I want this, I want that, I want instant gratification, and it's becoming more and more, and I'm a product of that. All of us are a product of that. And so it is my responsibility to get myself out of it. And then when I'm out of it, it's my responsibility to go back. As one of the people who got free, it is my responsibility to stabilize myself in a state where I can go back and bring others to the other shore. I see no better life purpose. I see no other life purpose. And in that, not throwing away what life has given me. Because life has given me a beautiful opportunity. Because I used to want to completely throw myself away over and over again. And I'm not entirely past this, but I want to throw myself away over and over again. I want to be a homeless man. I want to I want to just really experience and be one with suffering so that I can help suffering people in that moment. And there will be a time for that, and I cannot wait until that comes. That is my ideal of service, of really just humbling and lowering yourself, going out of your own comfort zone for the sake of someone else can have the benefit which you experience eternally, and then doing the whole process over again. I'm in a thought loop. I just can't tell what it is. I can't tell what the heart of it is. Well, what the heart of it should be is me pausing this and then coming back, because the line next to me is pretty filled up and I should stack the boxes. Perfect timing. Break time. I've got just enough time till break. This is probably going to be weird for you, but I just had a thought, so I felt like I should come back and record it. But the way I see it is, if you can be anything, and you can be anything, as long as you are willing to let go of your attachment to what you already happen to be. If you can be anything, then why not be perfect? And then in pursuing perfection, in trying to shine, you lose your own light. And so in that, you fail and inevitably stumble. But as soon as you stumble, you have an opportunity to get back on the horse and learn from your mistakes. And if you can do that, then why not endlessly aim to be perfect? And when you fail perfectly. Accept your failure. It's completely okay. It's completely natural. It's expected. And but that it's like, I know there are others like me. I know I'm not alone. And so all I have to do is keep saying stuff like this until enough people like me are like, and not like me as an ego, like me as the self, as an ego that is so thoroughly in love with the self that when Hanuman was asked by Ram, what does he want? And he wants to be his servant. He could just merge into Ram, but he doesn't want to merge. He wants to stay separate so that he can serve Ram. And he says, what do you want? Do you want this jewel? And he's like, no, it doesn't have Ram on it. And he opens up and you can see his bones have Ram. Ram, 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 Ram. I forgot about that. I've never read the Mahayana. I think, Mahayana. But I've heard it explained by Ram Dass, as you can imagine. And it's such a beautiful story. Like, that part gets me every time. And I see that. It's the heart of Jesus. It's the heart of the Bodhisattva. It's the Taoist master. That is what happens. You fall in love with the Tao. It's inevitable. It's this thing that pulls you along. And it's not even, you have no option. The only thing is that you created the illusion of having an option. Just like I have the illusion of I am doing things right now. But no, I'm not. I learned at every word that I know, I once learned. So language itself as a phenomenon, being able to speak, having ideas, can only come from the ability to communicate, which I learned. So it's not me. It's something that existed, that happened to me, that I turned into. I am, and then I became, and now I be. And now I am being this. And when I stop being this, there is only what is. And that alongside cultivating this quality of peace. And what I really want is the ability to not get attached to the happenings flowing forth from my being. I want to be able to witness at the same time as Jacob acts. Because I can. There's a little bit of space. I can see it happening, but I can't remain eternally the self. Because I have an idea of a being, of a jnani who sits here and watches all the happenings. And I know that isn't the case. And it's also this thing of always understanding that the experience is not what is to be sought, but in the experience is that which is. And so when you eat ice cream and you have that, ice cream, I really like ice cream, this tastes so good, that is an experience of God. But it's not separate from suffering. It's not separate from, like, if you don't have ice cream, you're not experiencing God. That's the important thing to realize. And it's seeing the value of experience, really seeing and experiencing the value that is an experience, but at the same time, seeing the emptiness in the form, seeing through into that which is. Going beyond, going thoroughly beyond, always becoming the Buddha. But at the same time, the universe is unfolding beautifully from within my very own heart. And one is a statement of constantly going next one. And one of this is a statement of this one. And eternity in this moment, and this moment eternally. Is that it? Eternity in this moment, and yeah, that's it. It's, and being able, because I, from my experience as a percussionist, I understand that it's possible to really, like, isolate your limbs. Like, you can have 3 going on your right hand, you can have 4 going on your, you can have like 4 on the hi-hat, 3 on the snare, 2 on the kick, and then you have some like polyrhythmic toms thrown in there, then you're playing some cool cymbal shit. And what it takes to be able to do that is you have to be able to split your consciousness into where, like, okay, I have consciousness of my right hand, which is playing quarter notes, and I have consciousness of my left hand, which is playing triplets. And so then there's also the third, just the polyrhythm itself, and then the polyrhythm on top of and so all of this stuff starts to build, and what you have to be able to do is isolate exactly what is happening, but in such a way that you feel the overall flow at the exact same time. And when you explain it, it's hard, but it's possible. And so being able to transfer that, and so being able to be the one who acts and like does things, but also the one who thinks, but also the one who observes, but also the one who takes care of the body, but also the one who is compassionately listening, but also the one who is mindful of anger, but also the one who is generating happiness, but also the one, and so it's beautiful. And I just want to be a statement of that, because it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. So I think a way of summing up one of the things I was saying is, I do not believe that Jesus, the Buddha, and Krishna are the same. I believe that, and even to the extent that, because you could say that they're not the same, but the awareness that lies behind them is the same. Yes, if you go all the way back. But I even want to go to the realm of, like, there is the Hindu pantheon. There are all the bodhisattvas. There are the apostles and the saints and just the people in the lineage of Abraham, of Adam, and that it's distinct, and it's a whole world within itself. And I like this concept of a D-brain, D-B-R-A-N-E, like a membrane, but instead of a membrane, a boundary, it's a D-brain, which is what I think of like a portal. So imagine you have a second dimensional universe, which is like a sheet of paper, then you have another one below that, another one below that, and another one below that. Now take that same concept of, because you can see all of the second dimensional universes in the third dimensional universe. So take that same concept with the third dimensional universe. There's the third dimensional universe, and then there's space surrounding it, which is that which is. And then there is another third dimensional universe, which is basically exactly like it. And another third dimensional universe, another third, another third, another third, another third. And so, if you're in one third dimensional universe and you want to get to another one, the way to do it would be to go through a D-brain, through a portal, through this. That is my understanding of what one is. But what was I saying? It was something to the extent of you look into the world that is Christianity, and it's all directions. You're inside of it, you close the door, you can go infinitely in all directions. But then you open the D-brain, you go into the Hinduism one, and then you go infinitely in all directions, and they never meet, but they do, because they're one and the same. But they're different manifestations going outward into infinity from zero, but they're not the same infinity, because there's infinite amounts of infinity. There's infinity in every direction. You have a point, that point is encompassed by a circle. How many ways can you go about that circle? Infinite. All weird. Yeah. And so, yeah. So I'm not going to say that Jesus, Krishna, and Buddha are one and the same, but I am saying that there is a one and the sameness, and they point to that in their own individual way, and exploring those individualities, those individual ways, that individuality, without getting so caught in it to think that Jesus is better than Buddha, as much as the Christian in me is so certain. It's not about comparison. If the Buddha and Jesus were sitting right here, they would bow to each other. It would just be, they would both take refuge in the Dharma. And there would be no names. But being able to name it is extremely important if you want to communicate. And that's what I want to do. I want to help other people because I need help. I think that's a perfect way of summing up everything I wanted to say. Plus, it's about to be break, so. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come. Eternally, timelessly. Love. I love you. Thank you.